I think another question we have to answer right now is this: how can I stay spiritually strong right now? I believe that the demands on your time and the demands on your personal resources in the coming weeks is going to get greater and greater before it gets lesser and lesser. Right now, we're dealing with a health crisis. In the weeks and months to come, it's going to be an economic crisis, and I think that we're still going to be called upon to lead people spiritually through this next phase in their life. So what do we do to maintain that spiritual poise, that spiritual buoyancy in these turbulent waters? Here's a couple of things to think about. Number one, remind yourself on a daily basis, I'm not Superman. We are not super people. There is a statement that I memorized, and it's just stayed with me over the years. I can't even remember where I got it originally, but it's not original with me. But the statement is this: God is God and nothing less. People are people and nothing more. I mean, this is exactly what Paul is trying to get across to us in 2 Corinthians chapter 12. He's going through his own personal crises, and he's being reminded that he can't handle it on his own, that he is really strong when he is weak, when God's grace and God himself is working through Paul. Let's remind ourselves on a daily basis, I'm not Superman. Secondly, and something that we don't normally think about, is sleep. You need to get your sleep. The effects of the pandemic are not going away anytime soon, so it's important that we stay positive in our attitudes and that we stay physically healthy. God made our bodies, and there are beautiful things that happen when we go to sleep at night. During the day, there are toxins that build up in our mind as we go through the stresses and anxieties and thinking processes during the day. When we go to sleep, there's a fluid that travels up our spinal cord into our brain, carries all of those toxins out, so that literally the next day we are clear-minded and we are clear-headed. And then finally, we need to make sure that we stay focused on God. This epidemic, this pandemic is going to pass away. God will not. There are so many things that are going to change in the coming weeks. The one thing that never changes is God. We lead our people not just physically, but spiritually. And so they need to know that we are still worshiping every day. It is a world right now that is trying to shrink God. It is through the processes of worship that God is magnified in our heart. We need to pray. All of the great spiritual leaders of the church throughout history have somehow testified to the fact that when it got more and more difficult and more busy for them, they actually needed to spend more time in prayer. And then finally, make sure that you're saying to yourself through the day the scriptures that you have memorized for a time like this. Psalm 23, Psalm 29. There are passages in Paul's writing. There are things from the lips of Jesus that are important to remind ourselves that this is how God operates in the world. And during this period of time, you will remain spiritually strong and be that light and be that salt, not only for your community, but for your community of faith. May God bless you in this period of time.